Hello and welcome to the Final Cut Half Cut with me, Jason, and via the power of technology during a global quarantine, we have Nick. Hello, Nick.
Oh, it's nice to be here, through the power of science.
Yeah, we need science more than ever, mate. That's the thing. How you keeping?
I'm just taking it one day at a time, like everyone else is.
Me too, mate. Me too. Living it up. I'm building a sledgehammer later on this week. Got a free fuck off big sledgehammer head. So my thing is, I've ordered a big handle, and I'm gonna make a sledgehammer. So there you go. That's the
cool. I might shave tomorrow. That's pretty much as I'm gonna be able to do.
I didn't shave the first.
Creativity one.
I didn't shave the first 2 weeks, and then it just got too much because I'm not really someone that can grow a beard, just stubble. So yeah, that's I'm keeping up on that one. Yeah. Hygiene is key. Yeah. So, mate, I was curious, podcast-wise, film-wise, I boshed out Legally Blonde the other day, and sort of hadn't seen it before, sort of had, but I think I was drunk, like properly drunk to forget it drunk. And fucking hell, it's the best film I've seen in a long while. Just bloody well constructed, you know. I've seen Reese Witherspoon in roles recently and hadn't watched the beginning of her career. And I don't know what she did before Legally Blonde, but it genuinely blew me away. Like the confidence and the brightness and obviously the current situation culturally. I was like, this is the polar opposite of our current...
The 21st century.
Yeah. Like, 2020 compared to 1997 and their kind of like, world is... I think it's 97, around then. And it was just so, it was really refreshing. Like, and obviously it's got Stifler's mum in it. I can't remember her name, but she's fucking...
I think she's just Stifler's mum now. Like, she's credited as, like, Stifler's mum now.
Yeah.
In any film she's in.
Yeah, that's true. So basically, she plays like against type, like no confidence, that not the sort of glamorous woman that she is. And just that, like her comic performance in that with her shyness is just absolutely brilliant. Like they're just everything about the structure and stuff like that was just blew me away. Quarantine movies, that one has been a highlight, faux show. Yeah, what else I watched? Bloodsport. Watched Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That was sick. I watched Predator last night whilst wearing my Dylan, you son of a bitch, Predator t-shirt. And that was like, I've become so meta that, I basically am the Predator. No, I'm not.
You're winking at the camera.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm Dutch. I'm Dutch. I want to be Dutch. Not as in, like, I don't want to be Dutch. Like, I'm Dutch. I want to be fucking Arnie in it. Yeah, he's had some funny old names. I was thinking about it. Obviously, he doesn't have a name in Terminator, and then he gives himself a name, which is Carl in the last Terminator. And then like he was John Matrix in Commando. That's probably his coolest ever name. And then confusingly, sorry, this is another quarantine film idea I've had. In the film, I don't know why I'm talking about Arnie's names, but it's interesting, and I'm gonna just have a ramble. He in Total Recall, I remember he's called Douglas Quaid in Total Recall, and Douglas Quaid is a real actor in real life. Now I know there's a book. Obviously, it's based on. I think it's some. Is it? I think. Hang on.
Is it Douglas Quaid or is it something? It's Randy Quaid. I know Randy Quaid.
Is it Randy Quaid? Have I got that wrong?
Yeah, he's in Independence Day. He's the guy who flies into the
Oh, are you sure? No, yeah, but there's a TV actor that like did some like TV actor guy. There is a Dennis Quaid, and then if I'm right, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, I know Dennis Quaid.
Total
Oh
Recall.
god, I didn't know there was so many Quaid. Yeah, he's in
And it's like,
he's in fucking Paragraph.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, and it's like like, I know it's probably in the original book or whatever as a coincidence, but it's such a clunky, weird name to like go with a like major Hollywood film and go, we're going to call him Douglas Quaid 2, which also doesn't really have to, you can change someone's name, like, and they don't have to change their character. And I know they wouldn't say that if I was talking about like, I found these random Ian Fleming novels and they could call him Jamie Bond. I know that, yeah, but like, what a weird. I always thought as a kid, I was like, Douglas Quaid is like a fucking weird name to do that. Yeah, so there you go. Have you been watching any mad shit whilst you're on quarantine, mate?
Well, I think that I like to kind of like, when I watch films, I like to kind of reflect what's going on in my life. So,
right.
I mean, like, so I watch a lot of violent films. And I was like, oh, maybe I should like watch some films about like infections and like people being like that are like quarantine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, I doubt it. I probably have to like actually buy them or look them online. Turns out I've got fucking loads of films like this. Waiting around. It's like half my fucking DVD collection is just seeing people dying violently from fucking diseases.
Oh no.
Or it's a metaphor for something. I'm just going like, is this why I'm so lonely?
Yeah, maybe don't dwell on that, mate. I would say,
dwelling on stuff's all I got at the moment.
That's a good point. Dwelling is like there's going to be a lot of what I'm worried about in sort of like the people that say at the moment like, oh, this whole situation, it creates innovation and maximizes people's creativity. I was thinking, yeah, but it's not like a really like multi-level situation like a war, like World War II. Loads of different people were in loads of different situations. Like, obviously, I understand from people's perspectives. Like, if you were a kid sent off to a foreign home on the trains, or if you were in Auschwitz, or if you were on the Battle of Normandy, or whatever. Like, my granddad was a sailor, and he went around the world, and he got it pretty kosher because he was from a pretty like a more middle class, upper working class family, whereas my other granddad, proper like working class, was sent to the territorial army on the front line because obviously working class people were put, basically put in more danger. And there's all these things, and I'm like, well, you're gonna have like, I don't want to say anything controversial, but like, I just genuinely think we're all having a collective experience, so we're gonna have to fantasize and think about like, other stories, because a story of someone staying indoors for 3 months, like, yes, I'm sure there'll be some brilliant character study of like what it is to have relationships in the digital age or whatever, but I want to see people blow shit up.
I think you mean, because like,
or maybe people start blowing shit up. Maybe that's what will happen.
Maybe, but like, I feel like it's like every other previous like thing to happen. Like, you can kind of make an inspiring story out of it.
Yeah.
Or like, you can make a thing where you're like, oh wow, that feels like you can kind of do different things with it.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was thinking after the league. Sorry.
If you just like, I assume any film was made about he was stuck in a house by himself for 3 months.
Yeah.
That's going to end up being a fucking terrifying movie.
Yeah.
So I assume we just solved him like carving his own skin off or something, and that's when it's just going to be a thing about like he went fucking mental. Because like no one like there's inspiring stories, but I feel like about people who are already doing things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything inspiring. I've only been wearing the same t-shirt for like 5 days. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Nick, you inspire me every single day.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. Right. Good to talk to you on this first quarantine tester cast, Nick. I'm gonna bell you back in another media form, and maybe our audience will get to listen to this. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Probably not. Hopefully not.
Well, maybe. I don't know. You're kind of you're endearing, and I'm the I'm the centre. I'm like the caramel.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Peace. And welcome back. Right. Today, this podcast, guys, is basically about testing different audio formats in a world where even BBC News has to do the whole webcam internet call thing with the world's experts. So in order to further our childish ambitions to have a podcast where we talk about our favourite films, this is what we're doing. Yeah, have you watched any so you've got all the quarantine movies down, mate. You got any plans to? You got like a list of films you want to watch over quarantine? Should we discuss that? Because I don't know what to watch.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I don't really know. I mean, you know me. I love 80s action films. So I realised the other day I didn't know what Chuck Norris sounds like anymore. It's been that long since I've watched or listened to the dulcet tones of Chuck Norris that I had to go and Google a YouTube super clip of the most badass Chuck Norris moments, which I might put on our page actually because they're just ridiculous. Like there's this, he just fucking It's just
the things that I only know him from the memes.
Precisely.
And that one scene in Dodgeball where he does
the thumbs up.
I've not seen anything with him.
Have you not?
I don't feel like I want to.
Oh no, some of these films are brilliant. Like Delta Force, that's the Delta Force 2. I'm watching. Oh, I tell you what, I'll commit to watching Delta Force 2. I'll try and watch as many. Here's what I'm saying. I want to commit myself to understanding the work of a person who I admire, but only watch the same films of going back. I'll give you an example. I did this last week, right? So I was bored, surprisingly, and so what I did was I googled John Carpenter films because I love The Thing. I like Escape from LA, Big Trouble in Little China, and I just consider him to be.
Wait, did you say you like Escape from LA?
Yeah.
Do you mean New York?
There's Escape from LA and there's Escape from New York.
I know, but LA's awful.
Alright, I think I'm getting them confused. I don't know. I think
Escape from New York's the first one.
Right.
Escape from LA's the one where he's like surfing. And then like Steve Buscemi's in the really bad CG for like green screen car.
Oh really? Okay. I think I'm in New York then. I think
New York's good.
Okay.
LA's atrocious.
Right.
One of the worst films ever.
Yeah, I mean, John Carpenter's direction, in terms of what he's trying to achieve, I have faith in him, but obviously he's tried to do things with technology before the technology was there, and he's a great innovator, but obviously there are the limitations because his ideas are so bold, and then I do admit some things do look really tacky, apart.
It's weird because it's like for every they live, which is great.
Yeah.
He's got a Ghost of Mars.
Yeah.
Which is also awful. He's got no middle ground. His films are either really good or who the fuck made this? It's like a fucking student. This is like a student film given a budget. That's just atrocious.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, you're ripping one of my favourite. I think he's my favourite director. So
I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah,
but he's made some real fucking.
Yeah, he's made some dodgy shit. But the Thing is the greatest film of all time, and so this is it. So what I was looking at on the, I was looking at Google's. I just googled John Carpenter films, and he obviously is a major horror director, but he's someone that did experiment and go into other genres. And so I was thinking, what is when directors particularly Martin Scorsese, who does the gangster thing very well, but has made other films that are very interesting as well. For me, I got really excited about Joker because I realised, not because I wanted to see the actual kind of story arc of that character, because I found it kind of benign, but the kind of meta reference to the film The King of Comedy, which is basically kind of similar to.
Yeah, it's the same film, basically.
Yeah.
They telling of that film, except he kills him at the end.
Yeah, precisely. So, so that was quite interesting the way they referenced that, and sort of like, that's quite an Easter egg kind of thing. That if you're a nerd,
like he switches roles.
Yeah, and if you're a nerd, you're like I always had that film saved on my laptop, that and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, just as like good films to watch. But I always thought, I like, it's one of my nerdy film studies things to tell people. Was like, oh, have you seen King of Comedy? It's not a gangster film. It's like, oh, it's all this and that. I'm like, and now it's like, well, that's not a great fact, but so I was looking at John Carpenter's back catalogue, and there was a film called Starman, and it's got a good rating on IMDb. It's like, I think, what's it got? Starman's got oh no, that's David Bowie. Right. Yeah, 7 out of 10, and it's Kevin Bridges as this alien that takes the form of a widow's dead husband, because that bit's completely ambiguous, but basically it's a romantic kind of like just drama, like but again, John Carpenter uses his classic sort of synth soundtrack, writes the whole soundtrack himself, and obviously there are lots of elements and sort of there's similarities to The Thing. But I was watching it, and like there are obviously real moments of like violence and stuff, because he, is this alien, and the whole government is tracking him, so they're like hunting him down.
Yeah.
He's trying to get to this point in the middle of the desert, and it's all quite ambiguous and very. It was just such a. I don't know, it was bloody emotional, to be honest with you. Like, the lockdown thing happened, and I was like, let's watch a good film. And at the end, like, this guy, like, she can't have kids, and obviously her husband died, and he needs to go. And then as he goes, he's like, "Pow, I put a baby in you," and that's how easy it is. Well, no, he's got supernatural powers, mate. He's like, he brings.
I know, I get it, but I like to think that is how he just went, pow.
Oh, right. He's just giggity, yeah. Yeah, so it was just like one of those really like warm 80s films, and I just realised, I was like, oh, this is bloody good. So that's my new project, is finding films. So I'm gonna watch. I'm going to decide on a. What's his bloody name again? Action Genius. Chuck Norris. So I'm going to watch a bunch of Chuck Norris films this month, and I think we should do a Chuck Norris podcast about some of his films. So that means you have to watch some of his films as well.
That's kind of fitting, because I recently decided to watch a whole bunch of Steven Seagal films.
Oh, sick! Oh, the one on the train is epic.
Under Siege 2.
Under Siege, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to watch any of the good ones. I want to watch the ones where he's like refuses to get out of chairs and like will do the least effort possible to like do his action things.
Yeah, he's mental. Steven.
Where everyone knows he's awful now.
Yeah.
I just want to watch all the films where he's like, if you want me, I'm not getting out of this chair. He's wearing kimonos all the time.
Yeah.
It's weird. But like they're like they make me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Because they're just, like, oh, anyone can make a film.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Steven Seagal is. We've got to do a Steven Seagal podcast. That's got to happen.
Okay, so it's on Deadly Ground.
Right. So what are you watching? Let me write this down.
I'm trying to think, because he's got Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
Which is good. Above the Law.
Right. Deadly
Ground. It's something on something.
I assume Hard to Kill is spelt like hard and then the number 2 and then kill.
No. No one really did that at that point. Because the first guy who did, like, yo guys, check this shit out. I'm going to put this 2 into the number 2.
Right.
And that guy just was given a raise
and the Fast and Furious
They
franchise.
thought that guy was a genius.
Yeah, and the Fast and Furious franchise became the biggest thing of all time. Okay, so you want to watch Hard to Kill? Because I don't know Steven Seagal. I this is how I'm a snob. Like, I could name probably 30, like minimum straight away right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger films. You know, still a lot of Sylvester Stallone films, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and you know, a bunch of others. But the sort of the third-rate kind of action heroes of the 80s, I went, nah. Why would I want to watch that when it's not Arnie? Like, I decided, you know, I was like, that's my thing. That's my guy. Like, the brands of those, it's quite interesting actually, the brands of those 80s action stars before, like, obviously the whole intellectual property and comic book thing of the last 15 years. Like, that was a thing. And people were loving it. So Steven Seagal movies are, there's a couple of scenarios when I've watched Steven Seagal movies. One.
Well, the thing is, like, no, you finish.
Oh no, sorry. One is when I come home drunk and I stick on Channel 5 and there's a Steven Seagal movie on. And then the other was when I was about 12 or 13, and you're probably a bit younger than me to remember this, but Channel 5 used to play a lot of softcore porn, and obviously I'd be hammering away, and then afterwards, as a little aperitif, Steven Seagal movie. So anyway, what were you gonna say, mate?
No, so, like, the reason I think they're all kind of awful films.
Yeah.
But the thing that really makes them so much, like, they're so different, is when you picture like an action film, like an Arnold film,
yeah,
or like Jean-Claude, or any of those guys, like, they kind of like, they're the underdog a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they always come against, like, he's the best guy.
Yeah.
Where they're
Jean-Claude always had that because he was small, and he just kicked people's asses. Arnie, this 80s Arnie was like, I'm the best thing ever, but I'm going up against this whole organisation. So it was like one man against the world. So in that sense, he was an underdog. In like he's an individual. Yeah.
But like they'd always have like a final fight against like the main bad guys, like henchmen.
Yeah.
And the henchmen would always have the advantage for a bit, and then eventually they kind of like Arnold kind of gets it kind of like he fights back, and then eventually kills the main henchman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he starts off losing, then he comes back.
And the henchmen are always like, I don't like. Here's the thing: in action films, usually the main bad guy doesn't own the whole thing. Like, you know, because the hardest guy isn't the boss. The boss is an old man. So like the actual physical threat of like the enemy is like, and there's actually tropes of it. The best example is like in Star Wars, although they try to make out like the Emperor's more powerful, but I don't really.
Vader's the heavy hitter.
Yeah, but so they call. Yeah. So the trope in characters. I remember this from me old uni. You have the dragon, and then you have like the Emperor. Yeah, like the dragon. The classic thing is the Hobbit. Obviously, you've got the orcs and the whoever's. I don't fucking know a lot about Lord of the Rings, but like the big you have the big bad, the one that's running things, and then you have the dragon, which is the fucking, you know, fucking shit up for the Emperor, for the big bad. And that's like how they did it in 80s films. But my example today, again, like I don't know which I prefer, but like Thanos is obviously like where superhero or like modern culture stuff is like the leader and the bad guy has to be the most powerful and physically dominate all of the heroes in a way that they, you know, they constantly, each superhero is like, oh no, this person's more powerful and they're more powerful. Whereas, you know, it's famous, people are famous in Hollywood for saying in the early 80s, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's body was an actual special effect. But like, I don't know, I like the honest nature of the kind of mafia hierarchy of henchmen and the boss in 80s films, when it was like, you know,
It's like the toughest guy isn't necessarily the guy who should be in charge.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But,
that annoys me. But I don't know, mate. So, Steven Seagal films. So you want me to watch Hard to Kill?
Well, I realistically shouldn't watch any of them. That's just what I've kind of been going through.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I mean, like, you watch what you want to watch, man. I don't tell you what to do.
Okay, right. I'll watch Hard to Kill and a bunch of other Steven Seagal films, and I think we should do a Steven Seagal one, a Steven Seagal cast, and
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm willing to not do a Steven Seagal cast because it will just involve me getting annoyed at Steven Seagal.
Okay. Do you know he's like a czar in Russia? Like he's like the
Yeah, he's got citizenship. He's got Russian citizenship.
yeah. Him and Putin are like
He's mates. Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo.
mm.
He could also kick the shit out of me.
Yeah. If you're listening, Steven Seagal, I'm not.
Do you remember when he had that show where he's like in a SWAT team?
Yes. Yeah. He just goes around with the police. Like Lou Ferrigno does that as well. Like he doesn't film it, but he's got like a weird like police badge license in America. Like they'll let him do anything.
No, but the thing is, like, the thing about that show is like, imagine like, okay, like you got a SWAT team, you've been training for years, you know, we got a mission. Okay,
it's a very serious job. Yeah.
Like, and then like you get on the thing, you get in like your truck, and you look over, and Steven Seagal is just sitting there in SWAT gear. You're like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
To give him fucking motivation.
I mean, he is. Hang on a minute. Steven Seagal. I mean, you're being quite critical of Steven Seagal.
I'm not being critical. I'm just saying, like, if you were one of those guys, you're gonna look and be like, "Oh fuck, am I in the Steven Seagal film?"
So
I'm gonna die.
Are you implying that Steven Seagal in a SWAT team? By the way, I've just googled Steven Seagal. The two top ones are the fucking hell. The third one's amazing as well. Right, so you know the people who ask section. First question is fairly reasonable. Like I accept that's like the most googled celebrity thing. How much is Steven Seagal's net worth? Which is fine, right? Which is fine. Then the next one is, was Steven Seagal a Navy SEAL? Right, which is hilarious because I don't think he was. Who cares? The next question is.
He always played a SEAL.
Yeah. The next question, the third most googled question, is just, where is Steven Seagal? Like people are worried where he is.
Like that's what like the president of America says.
Yeah.
When, like, there's a global catastrophe. Like,
where is Steven Seagal?
He's
We need to save him. Yeah. This is his wife is called Erden Netanyahu. Yeah. Seagal.
That's Russian.
Oh right, yeah, that makes sense. He's got children called Ayako Fujitani, Arissa LeBrock, Kentara Seagal, Dominic Seagal, Annalisa Seagal, Kunzang Seagal, Savannah Seagal. Yeah, he's a bit loose, if I'm honest with you.
Because one of them's Ayako. Well, that's Japanese, so.
Yeah, I assume. Like, I mean, he really did study this shit. Like, at the end of the day, we've been ripping Steven Seagal for a while now, and
I'm willing to say fuck Steven Seagal. I'm willing to put that on record. I don't fuck with it. It's fucking weirdo.
We've been talking about him a lot.
He's a creepy dude.
Why have you got such a hang up about?
He's interesting.
Yeah, come on.
Because he's a dick. Because he's just a weird dude. I don't like him, and I've wasted so many times on his films. It's my own fault. I can't get mad at him for making me watch his films.
Yeah.
But I've watched so many of his films, and they're all the same.
Oh, have you seen On Deadly Ground? That is a
That's
fuck.
the one where there's like a mining company, isn't it? That's
yeah, and he's he's like this expert guy that can put out fires and shit. And it is. So this was it. I was watching it, right, and I randomly put it on about a couple of months ago. It's a Steven Seagal movie, and I thought, right, it opens with this huge fire. There's loads of geezers, and then they can't do shit. And Steven Seagal's just scouring at the fucking fire, like, you can't beat me, fire. And then he bowls up to this fucking dude. He's like, do this, do that. I'm going over here. Turn that knob. Blah, blah, blah. Puts the fucking fire out like an absolute legend. And then I'm watching it. I was like, this is classic. Yeah, Steven Seagal. What the fuck is Michael Caine doing here? Why is Michael Caine... Like, it is the worst Michael Caine. I've never seen Michael Caine. There are worse Michael Caine, by the way. If you're going to go off on Steven Seagal, Michael Caine is the greatest, worst actor of all time. Alright? I don't care. Like, I know this will offend many people. But he does, like... Alright, in Batman, like you know,
he does play himself.
He just plays himself. He just plays. We need an old man. We need an old man to like be there and say, well, "It was my bloody idea." But, you know, like you know, whatever. You know, endure, Master Wayne. Like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
But that guy in the 90s, I love that guy. That was the proper Alfred. Like, and he died. So Michael Caine is like Michael Caine. I think we need to review On Deadly Ground, mate, because that is a film where you can get angry for one reason, and then I can get angry for another.
So awful, such bad. I don't want this. I don't think we should do anything about.
Okay.
It's what he wants to be talked about. He wants to be talked about. We should give it to him.
Yeah. All right. No, I will agree with you there. I will agree. Wait. Other than his role as villain in Robert Rodriguez Machete, I haven't seen that. Is he the bad guy in Machete?
I think he's either in the first or the second one. He's definitely one of them.
That's quite cool. I might have to watch that as well. Right. Okay. Can't we just do a hate podcast and just do we can both come with. You can come with your Steven Seagal rants. And I'm trying to think right now, the films I hate, the films I really hate. I don't watch stuff that I don't like. I'm not that sort of antagonistic person. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen Tiger King, but that kind of antagonistic, phenomenon stuff that people go, you gotta watch it. It'll boil your blood. You'll get really angry, but it's just everybody's gone, Yeah. I'm not that kind of person, but I have actually watched Tiger King. But anyway, in terms of films, I can't really think of any other. I don't Can you think of a film you hate right now?
A film?
Yeah.
I hated Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatars.
Yeah, that's a good point. What else do I don't hate films. It's hard to hate films. It's I'm not one of these people that just hates stuff for the sake of hating it. I just won't watch it.
The only time I hate film is I hate a film because I don't want to say hate film because that sounds like a spin-off of a love film.
Yeah.
Where they just come and take your film away from you.
Oh, that'd be quite good. We just collect people's DVDs and recycle them.
Yeah, but
you're doing me. You've just come up with a business idea based on just a normal conversation. Don't do it, man. You're on a slippery slope.
I hate films due to things that have I watched Avatar. Avatar's a long ass film. Yeah. It's 2 hours something. Yeah. I watched that film twice in the space of 24 hours.
Jeez.
And it was long enough the first time.
Why did you watch 3D. It again?
I went to see it with friends and I went to see it with family.
No, that's not right.
Yeah, so I watched that film twice, and I didn't even like it the first time.
No.
So now, when I think of it, I just think of sitting in a
waiting
film,
for it to end.
Theater. Exactly. So that's why I don't like that film.
What?
And the Avatar film, The Last Airbender, is just such a bad film.
The Airbender. Oh yeah. Did you? I loved Avatar, and have you seen the follow-up Korra as well?
Korra, yeah. The first season.
And some of the writers and voice actors work on Voltron, the legendary Defender. Have you watched that?
I have no idea what that is.
It's sick. It's Power Rangers in space, and like it's got some of the writing team from Korra and Avatar, and it's got that sensibility of like really developing their characters. Like for instance, like the White Ranger, like he's called Shiro, and he's awesome. And like they play him as like it's really hard. Like there's all this like stuff about like war and the way that they depict the like the enemy, like the villains in the film are fully 3D characters. Like it takes that same thing and applies it to like a science fiction narrative, and it's just like basically Voltron is this like it's like the Megazord, but it's an ancient like weapon to defend the universe, and they're picked. And it's a classic kind of like it's Power Rangers meets Star Wars basically. And it's really good. It's got that same Avatar vibe. It's got the same character development, and they really do, care about the story. Yeah, it's very very good. But no, I agree with you about that stuff. About the Avatar film and about both Avatar films actually. Like I'm really annoyed, and you're not gonna like this because apparently the villain for Avatar 2 has been confirmed. And it's Steven Seagal, mate.
What? Why would anyone do? I thought he was like blacklisted from Hollywood.
No, because James Cameron hasn't been about for 20. I'm joking, by the way. He's not actually the bad guy.
Oh, thank God!
Imagine if Steven Seagal is a giant platypus, like alien platypus that torments the thing. Because apparently all the Avatar. If he
was the villain, he'd just be a soldier, wouldn't he? If he was the villain, because.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, but apparently they were. Just be what? Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't know you cut out. Sorry.
Well, apparently all the films, all the Avatar sequels, are meant to be like set underwater. So
yeah,
like the wetter digital thing. Like I do like the production side of what James Cameron does, because obviously he sets up all this technology, which. So basically, like when they made Avatar, the groundbreaking thing was what he's done is he was the first person to actually like put all the infrared sensors on the roof of a set, build all of the set, not as a set, but like modelled green screen, like a side of a hill, but you're not painting it, you're not making actual grass, you're just putting a green sheet over it, and then you digitally remaster the whole image. So like what was like Avatar was groundbreaking in his production, but like he didn't like it's a shit film. So like yeah, it's great because we got Avengers after it, but do we really need 3 or how many? Maybe 4 Avatar? I can't remember now.
6. I think there's 6.
Fuck no, can't be doing that. Like people need to sit James Cameron down and say, don't make the thing. Just make the technology and sell that to like Disney. Like that's what they need to do, because he's out the game. Like Avatar was terrible, and I don't know how they duped us into all seeing it. They were like 3D is going to be this thing, and look at us now. 3D was another gimmick.
They've announced 5, so it's going to be an Avatar 5.
Yeah, that's the thing, mate. It's insane. There's nobody wants that. Like unless they drastically improve and expand the storyline, but there's no reason. There's just no reason for it. There's just absolutely no reason.
Another problem with Avatar is that it made 3D like. If you want to make a good big film, you have to make it 3D.
Right.
So then, like, loads of films are given like really shitty 3D ports.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And the thing about 3D is, if you don't wear glasses, wearing glasses is super annoying.
Yeah.
And it kind of annoys you.
Yeah.
And if you do wear glasses, you have to put glasses
on
over
your glasses. Yeah.
Which is super annoying.
Yeah.
So like, no one likes it.
I agree.
And
I agree.
There's so many films that had a really bad 3D
it did tarnish like 4 years of progress. Really, it did really slow down the whole thing. Yeah, I don't like 3D. No, it's not good.
No, it's awful. So.
4D or 5D is good. That's quite interesting. Went on like the Shrek ride at Universal, and they like spray water and your chair moves and vibrates with it. Then, like, but then, you know, I think human brains, like, we had a few thousand years of like Beowulf is the oldest book, yeah, and nobody knows who wrote Beowulf. That's my interesting fact about Beowulf. I think Beowulf was actually. Have you seen the Ray Winston Beowulf film?
Oh, the CG one.
Yeah, because that was the first ever full, meant to be CGI. That's an interesting. Hang on, I've just come across a very interesting point. So, Beowulf is the first ever book published by humanity, and nobody knows who wrote it. I know this because when I worked at the school, Miss fucking Burden went, right, I need you to research all of the inventions from the beginning of human history to the modern day, and your job is to decide which ones are the most important to put on like a banner.
Wasn't the Bible the oldest book?
Yes, but that's not the oldest novel. So it's that the Bible the Bible's a religious text that's been condensed down from several different like things over thousands of years, and everybody's like we can do, but like in terms of just a book, like in just a story about a man, like a mythological story, like it's the first book. But the Ray Winston film was the first ever film made. I quite like that film actually, and that was in 3D, and it was all done in CGI, and it was meant to be like what Disney says now is like the whole live action. It's like, well, you've just made the film in total CGI. It's not really real, is it? And that definition I don't like. What's your opinion on Disney's live action adaptations as opposed to 3D?
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
It's like, firstly, talking animals is like gross and disgusting, and I don't like looking at it.
Do you not?
I don't like. No, it's like, do you remember that show, like My Hero, with the guy from Father Ted and like?
Oh yeah.
And the babies and the baby.
The baby was. Oh no, that was creepy as fuck. Yeah.
And it's like creeps out. Anytime I see something that shouldn't be talking, live action talking, it makes me very uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah, that's
weird.
I don't understand. And also, it's like you make it cartoon, so you can basically do anything.
Yeah. And then you want to uncartoon it. Yeah.
So why are you limiting yourself into doing real shit?
Like I love the Lion King, but I don't see any point in watching the live action Lion King because I like
there's no character. It gets rid of all the character.
Right.
I can look at like a talking cartoon pig and be like, that's got character.
Exactly.
The way it moves, it gives it life. But if I'm just looking at a pig talk, like, I don't fucking give a shit about this pig.
Oh come on! Did you not get upset at Babe? Babe was a Babe.
But that's different. But that weren't voiced by Seth Rogen. Because a big part of whether I care about something living or dying is if it has the voice of Seth Rogen.
Yeah, like how much weed does this warthog smoke today? Babe is a weird film when you think about it. Like they really missed a trick. Like in terms of the whole animal rights thing. Like think about it. Stuart Little is the biggest meme going. Why don't they do a horror film where like basically Stuart Little goes to fucking China and it was Stuart Little's fault, like that all of this happened, and therefore like tap into meme culture, turn it back around. Don't let your brand be destroyed by meme culture and never gonna write some shit in the first place. But something like Babe or Stuart Little, big money in it, mate.
I want a film about the kids that were at the orphanage that have to like walk away with this family taking away a fucking talking mouse other than a child, because that would be so painful to be one of those kids.
I've forgotten the story of Stuart Little, and
they took the fucking mouse home, and what's wrong with me?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as a elaborate kind of lame premise for Batman. Like if they did working class Batman, who instead of being Batman, he becomes like Mice Man because he doesn't own an estate. with a fucking giant cave under it. What he actually does is he's a working class person whose parents got killed, living in an orphanage, and then these people come by and get the pet mouse instead, and that's what crushes his spirit finally, and decides to make him become Mice Man. That's, would it be Mice Man or Mouse Man? I guess it'd be Mouse Man, wouldn't it?
Mouse, because like mice is more than one, isn't it?
Yeah, but the Mice Men, you know, that's Biker Mice from Mars. That was fucking good in the 90s. Why haven't they brought that back yet? That Street Sharks.
I don't think anyone wants these things back.
Imagine a live action version of the Street Sharks or a fucking Biker Mice from Mars. Just like
the thing is that I'm currently looking at the Biker Mice from Mars. Those guys were fucking ripped. Like
they were, man. There were mice.
Like
and
this show would be far too horny for anyone to watch. Like
it would be like
fucking shredded.
Imagine, right, so I'm Googling it as well. Imagine Channing...
I decided, these mice need to be fucking sexy.
That wasn't the idea. Look, the thing was, in the 90s...
They're shirtless and ripped. Like,
I know.
Make them men.
Have you ever seen it?
It was on when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched it. I was a Ugly Martians kind of guy.
Oh, nice.
Which was fucking awful.
Yes. So the guy with the robot arm was really cool, but basically, a lot of pop culture was influenced by the steroids of the 1980s and 90s from all these action stars, and this clearly had a profound effect on my childhood. And when I remember when I was about 12 years old, right, I convinced myself like I was going to get hench like Arnie or whoever. And I decided to start doing press-ups and a bit of exercising before I went to bed. So, impressively, I would like to say, I got myself up to 30 press-ups. I could do 30 press-ups when I was 12. So I've been doing it for a few weeks, thinking that I'm going to get huge as a house. And then what I did was I got lazy and I left it for 8 days. So I hadn't.
You lose it, don't you?
Yeah. So I realized. So I hadn't done 240 press ups. So what I decided to do was I would do 10 at a time all night until I did 240 press ups. Needless to say, the subsequent days after that, I woke up. I couldn't fucking really move my arms, and I was like, "Mum, what have I done?" She was like, "Well, you've done 240 press-ups. Of course you're in pain." And I didn't. Yeah. But didn't go down the gym until I was 18 after that. So thanks, Biker Mice from Mars, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Steven Seagal, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Fuck all of you.
Fuck you, fucking sexy mice.
You sexy mice from Mars. Let's reboot it and call it that.
I can't work out.
Well, look, think about it.
It's not for that. It's because like the way my head is. Like, if I look at myself and if I picture my head on like an in-shape body, it looks fucking weird. It looks creepy. It looks like someone photoshopped. It looks like someone photoshopped a head.
It looks like
a in-shape person. So I'm just giving it up. I don't care anymore. Fuck it.
Yeah, it looks like you are the lead guy in Biker Mice from Mars. It is very camp when you look at their outfits. It's just waistcoats and a lot of handkerchiefs. I mean, do you think the Hell's Angels, when they were like, "We've got this look," and then like the gay club scene of the late 70s, 80s was like, "We love this look. Like, we're going to take this look."
The one with the metal arm is so fucking ripped.
He is ridiculously ripped. He's clearly the muscle. Then I reckon.
They're all the muscle.
No, I think he's the muscle. The middle one with the glasses is the cool one. And then the other one would be the comic relief because he's slightly smaller.
Would he be the smart guy?
The wisecracker. Or wisecracking smart guy, yeah. Well, from Steven Seagal to buy. Well, at least we've, hopefully with
It's a logical timeline. It was a logical timeline.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. When you look, it all makes sense.
When you're in quarantine, I think if we can enlighten as many people as possible to like all of these mad shows and films, then like we've done our bit then, haven't we?
I don't think we've enlightened anyone with this.
Well, I think we're heroes, Nick. Next week at 8 p.m, apparently the nation's coming out and clapping for us. That's how much. Yeah, we're key workers doing this fucking podcast, mate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No,
I'll
not
take your
really.
word for that.
All right. Well, right. Well, that's been a quarantine cast. That's
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel like we didn't say much
No.
for a very long time.
We've been talking for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Not a lot's been said.
I say watch Steven Seagal movies. Nick says don't. I say watch Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Nick says do. I say
Yeah, I mean, he's better than Steven.
yeah. Yeah. Who would win in a fight between Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal?
Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal can't do shit.
He's trained in 5 different martial.
He's trained in Aikido, which is like the most fucking pointless martial art in the world.
Well, I mean, how much training do you need to try and deliver people's food on a bike?
That's a joke only like 10 people get.
We probably won't even get 10 people listen to this, so don't worry about it, mate.
Oh, we definitely won't.
You wait until you see my aggressive online marketing campaign. And
I'm waiting for you to release the edits.
That's a good point. I was thinking we release this one as like a relevant like quarantine cast, and then this is our promotion, yeah.
Series.
Do you know?
This is like an extra.
Yeah, this is like welcome to quarantine cast. Basically, modern studios spend about $200 million on the film, right? And about the same amount, maybe $150-200 million on the marketing and on the marketing campaign for the whole premieres and that. This is our marketing campaign, Nick. This is how we become a blockbuster podcast, because they're gonna find out. They go, oh, I understand. They've done like 1 week, one genre, one film. Sorry. Discuss it in detail. This is like we're showing all of our talents like a podcast trifle, you know.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
You agree? Very well.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed this, mate. I mean, let's.
Yeah.
So we're not doing a Steven Seagal podcast, is that right?
Nah, there's nothing to talk about because you watch one film and you've seen them all basically.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What about a Legally Blonde podcast? Like, what about in depth?
I mean, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
I want to talk about something. You know me. I like action films, science fiction, and I know stuff about stuff that I like. But I want to push myself and maybe do something that I don't like. We'll discuss that not on podcast, and I will. I'll speak to you next week on the Final Cut Half Cut with Jason Winter and Nick.